Today's presenter is Gordon Hudelson, Designer of Edgeless Innovations. Take it away.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm Gordon Hudelson with Edgeless Innovations. You heard my 60-second introduction. Edgeless Innovations is a residential design firm that's dedicated to enhancing lives through Edgeless House concepts. Edgeless House concepts is a series of 10 different techniques and methods that are used to bring the outdoors in, flood spaces with natural daylight, and make them feel larger than they actually are. And by doing those kind of things within your house or within your workspace, you're really allowed to be at more at ease where you're spending the majority of your time. So for those of you that have seen my presentation in the past, the first one I kind of walked everybody through what those 10 steps were, showed my second presentation how you could do some simple things to, in a small remodel kind of fashion, to get you where you're trying to go. What I wanted to focus on today is how Edgeless House can make a difference across the board. My background is with BVZ Architects, 21 years with a residential architecture firm. In that 21-year span, we created Edgeless House. One of our first kind of case studies, I guess we could call it, is a client in Kansas City. He is a custom home builder. We had been working with him on $1.5 million homes for probably 10 years. And one day he called and said, I haven't had a customer walk in my door in 2 years. I need to change that. This was in 2008. So everybody knows what was going on in 2008. Pretty bad time for the construction industry, the architecture world, and everybody involved in it. He said he wanted to do something to spur up business, so he hired us to design him a moderate house that he thought he could sell for in the $350,000 to $400,000 range. And that's a big step when you're a custom home builder and you're used to spending $800,000, $900,000 on a house that you can then turn around and sell for $1 million, $1.2 million. To go to a quarter of that budget is a huge, huge step for a guy to take. So we worked through it. He spent about $12,000 with us to get this home designed and ready to go. So, you know, that's a fairly good end to be risking with us. He went ahead, he built the house. It was on the market for less than 3 months, and he sold 6 custom spin-offs of that one house within a 2-year span. So he went from zero business to a moderate spec house to 6 custom homes that were spurred from that moderate spec house. He's ecstatic with this. Thinks that's the greatest thing ever. So it's proof that Edgeless House does make a difference. It's not for everybody, I get that, but it is something that a lot of people, when exposed to, just kind of go, wow. So I'm going to walk you through this house that we did for him. First slide is a 3D rendering that we did. We did this as a part of his PR package so that he could try and pre-sell the house. This was done when framing was first starting, so there was nothing but a floor slab out there on the site, and people were actually showing up because he was distributing this, showing up and walking out on that floor slab so they could start to feel, you know, what they were going to be looking at. The second slide is kind of a CAD drawing. This is the back side of that PR package, but what it showed was the layout, the floor plan, some basic elevations. What's interesting about the floor plan, and we showed, you'll see a grid that goes from the front door all the way through the back deck, and that represents a flooring material that's the same. The thought behind that is that that flooring being the same throughout there helps the walls disappear visually. So this is what the front of the house ended up looking like. You guys have seen some of my other pictures, and that's pretty moderate compared to some of the other stuff we've done. But this house excites me as much, if not more, than most of the multi-million-dollar homes that we've done, because this is something that I look at my sphere of friends, I look at the people around this room. This is something that's a product that might be able to serve more people than the $1 million, $1.5 million house. I don't think it's fair that the people with all kinds of money get to live the way that the rest of us should be able to as well. So this is, now we're standing in the house looking out the front door. Standard door, standard window sizes, everything about that is standard except for the way that you feel when you're standing in that space. It's techniques, it's not materials. So, again, you get the plants on the inside, the plants on the outside, just kind of makes that feel open and inviting, both coming to the front door from the outside and to the front door from the inside. I just turned around, now I'm standing at the front door looking through the rest of the house. You can see that the flooring material does in fact continue through the house. And one of the very special things about this picture right here that makes it edgeless more so than some of these other pictures that you're going to look at is how this little element right up here was treated. Most builders, knowing that there needed to be a beam up there and a wall below that beam, would have built a full wall, floor to ceiling. And what that does is that creates two separate rooms. By leaving that open over the top, when you're standing where you're standing here, you feel the space behind that. You know that there's a room back there without knowing what that room is. So visually you're carrying through boundaries, over boundaries, around boundaries, and that is what gives you the sense of enlarged space and feeling. With the amount of glass that's shown both at the front of the house and the back of the house, you can see how natural daylighting is a huge factor in this house. Kind of continuing on, just walked past that little coat closet there, and now you're kind of into the great room space. So you've got living room, kitchen, dining room, all within one space, no walls separating it, but you can feel the three distinct spaces using furnishings and other wall materials and things of that nature. Again, another picture this way, kind of looking more focusing back on the dining room and the living room, or I mean the dining room and the kitchen. You'll notice that the cabinetry traces out of the kitchen and into the dining room. Again, that eliminates walls, that ties those two spaces together. There's also some woodwork happening back on the other side behind us that is very similar to that in nature, and it just makes that all feel like one room. You'll notice that there's a wall treatment going on over here on this wall. This is actually a door into the pantry. We didn't want it to look like a door into the pantry, so we did a board and batten treatment on the interior walls to hide the joints of the doorway. That was done on the coat closet as well, and it's a simple little treatment. It's not expensive. It's 1x2 board pieces attached to it before it gets painted. So just some of those little neat things that typically are done on the exterior of houses, we like to bring on to the interior as well, and be able to just make things look a little bit more unique. Give it a sense of identity that's unique to itself. Again, that focusing more on the hidden pantry door, which if it was done 100% correctly, wouldn't have a doorknob on it. It would have been a push door so that you didn't even know it was there unless you leaned up against it and it fell open.
Remote control.
So focus a little bit more on the kitchen. One of the things about this that makes it edgeless, it looks kind of like a reasonable sized kitchen with a lot of glass in it. The glass alone makes it edgeless. But you see these little shelves that are happening. Those are happening on the inside and the outside of the glass, and they're going through the glass, or above the glass, or in front of the glass. So basically that glass is sandwiched between two shelves. That alone makes that piece of glass disappear. You don't pick up the frame, you don't pick up everything that's really happening there because you got this little floaty disturbance right out in front of your eye that kind of makes your mind question what's really going on.
Is that a technical term?
Floaty disturbance. More kitchen shots, more just to show the way that the cabinetry traces. This is a refrigerator opening. The refrigerator wasn't in yet when the photographs were taken, but it's a panelized refrigerator, so it blends right in with the cabinetry as well. You'll notice that we use colors differently. A lot of builders would have this cabinet and this cabinet be the same color. By changing color, it makes this island feel a little bit more, I'm going to throw another one of those technical terms out there, furniturized. I don't think you're going to be able to find that in the Webster's dictionary. Finding pieces that feel a little bit more like furniture creates a sense of comfort, casual, kind of warmth. So we try and do that as often as possible. Now it's kind of as if you're standing in the kitchen. You get to really experience the openness of that room, and if you can imagine entertaining in a space like that, it'd be kind of a neat experience to be able to sit back and watch everything unfold out in front of you from pretty much no matter where you're at in that space. Again, inside-outside fireplaces, we tend to try and do an indoor-outdoor fireplace, or one that at least turns a corner so that you're viewing the fire from more than one angle. I'm going to just start rifling through these to save some time. A lot of them are covering the same things, but there you basically standing in front of the fireplace looking back toward the entry door. You get the reverse sense of the openness, where it's not just this big booming glass wall out in front of you. Now we're out on the deck. They have a hard time bringing the indoor flooring to the outdoor flooring. Should have had Meyer Skidmore do it. They probably would have been able to figure something out that was the same inside and outside, but wood and wood is good. So that was a start. Again, that two-sided fireplace, and you can see the shelving going across in front of the windows. That little countertop on the outside matches the countertop on the inside. Just little details like that that let your eyes travel through spaces and through walls that typically you would be stopped at. The other thing about this particular project is this builder owned the whole subdivision, so he sold off tracts of lot, or blocks of lots to other builders. He knew he was going to get stuck with this lot, that it was the worst lot in the subdivision from an amenities standpoint. Busy road here, busy road on the other side of that berm, no natural trees, big power lines everywhere. And he's like, I want to build my spec house on that lot to prove that I can sell it on that lot. I can sell it on any lot in this subdivision. And again, he did it in 3 months in a down market. Now you're getting into some night shots, and you can see the difference between full day lighting and some of the natural lighting. How it feels like a different space, but it's still warm and cozy and comfortable. So that's pretty much it. This basically is to show where we were with the 3D rendering from a concept standpoint and where we kind of ended up from a finish standpoint, and outside of colors and some added detail, they're not too far from being different. So it's a really neat process. I enjoy it. Obviously, I can talk about it for a week if you would let me, but I think that shows some of my passion and love for what I do. So thank you. Any questions?
So you could take an older home and put in maybe like 3 of those panels, or is it because the older, with torque and everything, if it's not structurally like concrete, steel, is there a problem with windows that size?
Structural engineers are always going to have to be involved to be able to tell you what size your posts have to be and what size your header needs to be to make whatever size opening you're going to make. I mean, it's not style specific, it's not age specific, it's not neighborhood specific. It's little details that are done in order. You don't have to. Your whole house doesn't have to be edgeless. If you spend 90% of your time at home in your master bedroom, make that your comfort place. Make it your vacation.
Okay, what are we?
I'm not home very often, so I walk in the door and I go to bed. Go ahead, Rob.
So, obviously, this is a very large square footage area house.
It's not. This is a 2,100 square foot house.
2,100.
Wow.
But
it just seems enormous.
Wow.
It does.
Yeah.
But there's the whole movement to having the smaller houses. Are you looking to incorporate that into the smaller houses?
That's what this is about. He was building 5,000 square foot houses at this time, a couple years prior to this, and that market just went away. And I've had this conversation with myself and with other people. I've been fortunate for the last 21 years to be a part of serving the 5%ers. I want to start serving the 95%ers, and he's adopted that theory as well, and he's doing both now. He's still serving the 5%ers, but now he's tapped into a market that he wasn't able to touch before. So it's brought him, it's elevated him as a custom builder, as well as given him a niche in the mid-range market.
So if I could
Go ahead.
If I could piggyback off of what he just said, so 400,000 is probably out of my price range, but the concept, like, you know, something smaller, could we possibly do it for 200,000?
We haven't done a case study on that yet. We haven't had anybody build it. I say yes. There are things that this guy did to get it down to the he built this for under 300,000. He put it on an $80,000 lot and he made $20,000 on it. Which he was happy with, because that's $20,000 in a 6-month span. If he could do that over and over again, he would. My theory on that is he did some things. He used flat bottom trusses. He used some prefabricated framing packages. So the walls were framed off-site and brought out on a truck and stood up. You can take that one step further by incorporating insulated SIPs, structural insulated panels, that come finished on the inside and the outside. So now you stand your wall up, it's done. There's no drywaller coming in, there's none of that. Those are generally 5% cheaper than bringing a framer out and having the whole thing done anyway, but you're saving time on site. I'm also looking into the process of modularizing some of them and prefabricating portions of the house, maybe making a pod here and a pod here and doing stick framing in between them, where you're not doing, kitchens and bathrooms are the most expensive spaces to finish. They're also the last parts of your house to be touched, because nobody wants any of those fine finishes to be screwed up while people are constructing around it. So you end up at the end of a job with 3 different trades in there trying to work in the same small space at the same time, and they're all using expensive finishes. To be able to take a kitchen and have it made off-site by the same crew that's what they do day in and day out. They're framers, they're carpet layers, they're tile guys, they're the same 5 guys that do it inside, start to finish. You eliminate those months or extremely long weeks on site with 5 or 6 guys. And so that's theory at this point. It hasn't been done yet. But yeah, I believe based on the way the industry is going, you're starting to see a lot more modular projects come out nationwide. They're very easy to achieve green standards with by doing that, and definitely making things smaller. I would like to be able to get to the point where there's something in the 1,200 to 1,500 square foot range in the $250,000 to $300,000 market. The problem is finding land. There's not a subdivision out there that's waiting for a bunch of people like me to come put our product in it.
Kansas.
Arizona.
If you build it, they will come. But
So we have time for one very short question.
Brent had his hand up since the get-go.
Energy efficiency, all of those windows, how does it compare to the other?
We don't use low-end windows ever. So you're looking at some of the most technically advanced glass that there is out there. In Colorado, that's imperative. There's lots of other ways to make up those differences. There's a computer program we have to use called ResCheck that every house in Colorado has to do. You have to do it to meet the Colorado energy codes. That house particular would have failed in Colorado. I can guarantee you we would have had to have upgraded insulation in the ceiling and probably in the floors to make up for the amount of glass that we have. But there's lots of different ways to do that aren't budget breakers, and we're very cautious of that and generally go above and beyond what ResCheck requires.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon.
Thank you.